We've talked about project governance in general. We've talked about implementing project governance through PMOs, project management offices. And now I'm going to talk about portfolio management software, because quite often to implement a PMO, to govern your projects, you need tools. And you have a project management office, and the project management office uses project management software. So let's have a look at the software, and I'll show you a case study of a leading organization, the Defence Science and Technology Group in Australia. So if we look at the software, there's quite a bit of research out at the moment. And this is this pie chart on the left is from an organization called Apps Run the World. And it talks about who are the various portfolio management software providers. And you can see it's quite scattered. Oracle has a big chunk, ServiceNow, Microsoft is in there, Atlassian has a chunk. So there's no one dominant service software that currently exists. And when we ask ourselves, what's the dominant software, what's the best software? If there are no leaders in terms of market share, what's the leader in terms of most functionality? And this 2x2 matrix is produced by Gartner, and that we talk about the magic quadrant. So according to them, the leaders in PMO software and portfolio management software is PlanView, or CA Clarity from Broadcom, or ChangePoint from CompuWare. Microsoft is a challenger, and there are many other types of software. Let me just point out WorkOtter is recognized as a challenger. Now, the problem with these leaders is that they are hard to use. So let's go to the next slide. There's been a study by Ayagari who talks about the customer voice of project portfolio management software. And the biggest complaint is the software is complicated. It takes ages to implement. It takes time for people to understand how it works. Ease of use is a very big problem. Learning to use the software is a problem. Not having the right features is a problem. Difficulty in customizing is a problem. So I would say to you, probably don't go for the most complicated software. You need results. You need to talk to your top managers. You need performance to be delivered quickly and consistently. So in preference to the bigger than Ben-Hur products, I think you should look for something which the users recommend and which has high usability. Again, this is produced by Gartner. And I took this Gartner report directly from the software company WorkOtter, because you can see Gartner considers WorkOtter to be the highest recommended by its users and the most usable. And when you look at their website, it's very impressive. But when I looked at it very carefully, I said, WorkOtter is focused on project management issues, on time, on budget types of things. Brick, the second one, which is high in usability. Small businesses focused on CRM, customer relationship management, focused on workflows, not so much portfolio management, not so much governance the way I've been talking about it, about performance, delivering higher performance. Teams, ClickUp focuses on teamwork, right? Communicating, sending messages to different people in the team, and also very project management or oriented. So again, for me, not governance, project management, but not governance. Meisterplan is a very German product. As soon as you see it, you'll realize step 1, step 2, step 3. There's a big emphasis on capacity planning. So I said, okay. I personally couldn't use it because my mind doesn't work that way. And my focus is not capacity planning anyway. The next one I want to point out is PM3. It's the only outcome-driven tool. That's the way they market themselves. Practitioner developed, practitioner led, practitioner oriented, and it's focused on outcomes. So I would say to you immediately, that's what we're chasing after in terms of governance. We want something that's focused on the strategy. At the moment, my look at the PM3 is that it's benefits focused rather than strategy focused, but it's okay. It's still on the right track. And then there's this huge family of products, which I'll call agile. They're focused on Kanban. They're focused on a particular methodology. So again, not outcome driven. Something I want to point out before I go any further, there's many other products, but there's a very interesting one, Microsoft Project. It dominates the market, as we saw from the pie chart earlier, but not very usable, quite recommended, but not very recommended. It's a very difficult piece of software to use. I actually think it's okay. It doesn't matter which software you use, as long as you use it for the right purpose. So let me show you a case of this. I want to talk to you about the Defense Science and Technology Group. And this cloud represents the Department of Defense in Australia. And the Department of Defense relies on the Defense Science and Technology Group for all their science. Whenever they buy products, whenever they buy weapons, we need to be in the front. We need to be superior. The science wins wars. The technology wins wars. So they need to be in the front of developments. And they developed, the DST group developed the black box flight recorder. So that's very impressive. And they also developed the over-the-horizon radar. So again, very impressive. DST Group is a world leader, but they had a problem. The arrows represent all the requests from the various departments in the Department of Defense. We want this, we want this, we want this, we want this. And DST Group had a problem. Which do we do? We can do these requests, but which ones should we do? Which are the highest priority? So they implemented project portfolio management. And the very first filter is they worked out how much would be spent on each of their major programs. I forget the right name now. But anyway, they first of all put all their money in the various buckets, the 5 big buckets. Then once it was in each bucket, they then said, how much are we going to spend on Navy? How much are we going to spend on Army? How much are we going to spend on Air Force? So again, they took a top-down view and said, how much are we going to spend on each strategic area? Finally, they said, okay, let's now allocate the money we've got in the Air Force for projects, and Army for projects, and Navy for projects. So they didn't start from a project up level. They started from a strategy level down to make sure that they were spending the money on the right areas. They implemented something called an ILM, an investment logic map. And they started off, they said to people, before you put up your project, you must tell us what problem are you solving. So on the left-hand side, what problem are you solving? Then tell us what benefit are we going to get if we solve this problem. Once we have the benefit, then we have the development of the project, the strategic response and the specific projects. And you can may be able to read this, it says changes. So they do consider the change. And the impressive thing about this is they've implemented this in Microsoft Project. They've required the proposal to think through the problem, think through the benefit, think through the strategy, think through the change, all in Microsoft Project. So even though Microsoft Project is not easy to use and it's not highly usable, it doesn't matter. Of course, if you can get software that's more easy to use, that would be better. But what the DST Group have proven is that the software is less crucial. Knowing what you want to use the software for is the key. So let me show you what their reporting looks like. This diagram is taken straight out of a textbook at the bottom. Initiation, planning, development, implementation, benefit, and close down. Now, when I saw this diagram initially, I said, it's misleading. It gives you the impression that each stage should take the same length of time, when in reality, initiation takes a long time. A lot of thinking, a lot of talking before we do something. The project itself is relatively quick. You plan, you develop, you implement. And once you've implemented, your project comes in on time and on budget. So we've got a standard report. I'm not saying on time, on budget is unimportant. I'm just saying it's less important. So Army has so many, these are made up numbers, by the way, it's a prototype report. Army has so many projects which are on time, on budget, so many challenged, so many canceled. Navy has many more projects, but similar ratio of on time, challenged, and much higher canceled in this particular example. Air Force, similar. And then they measured, is the customer happy? And you can see on time, on budget is project management success. Customer satisfaction. So not long after they implement the project, they go back and ask their customer, are you happy with what we gave you? And in this case, you can see a lot of green, a lot of green, a lot of green. So that's good. That's good. And now the real governance question. Did we realize the benefits? And you can see if these figures were real, the customer is happy in Navy, but actually we didn't realize many benefits. The customer is not so happy in Air Force, but we actually realized many benefits. So this is very interesting. We need to report at the project management level because that's traditional. If we don't have it, people will wonder, why not? But the real measures of success are whether the customer is happy, whether the benefits are being realized. So this is an example of using not good software, but using it in a governance way, focusing it to deliver the results that you want. Now, the next slide is not finished. I want to show you a case study of an organization called the Project Bureau. They are working with another organization called Best Outcome. And the two of them use the product we identified earlier, PM3. So the next slide is going to show you how the Project Bureau and Best Outcome use PM3 to do governance. Today's video doesn't have anything. I'm working with them to customize their software to report at a governance level using an easy to use product. Come back, I don't know, in a few weeks, and I'll show you the Project Bureau approach to governance. And I'm sure you'll be impressed, but for the moment, that's the end of this particular video. And then we'll talk about informal governance if you don't want to use any of these tools at all.